Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Demon Slayer Chronicles podcast. Today we're going to be diving into episode 7, titled Transformation of the Entertainment District Arc. As always, my name is Andrew Nimsgren, and with me I have Dylan Beal to dive into the episode. The episode that I've been waiting for you to see for so long because of we finally get to see the full Nezuko transformation. We get the brother reveal. I mean, that's really the only two things we're going to be talking about this entire episode. I mean, they're both major topics and they're so much fun to talk about.
It's insane. Like we're at the point, right, where it was like, okay, cool. Here's the final fight. We're gonna see how it escalates, and it's gonna be good. And I looked at the episode count. And I was like, this is kind of a lot of episodes left for just one fight. And now it makes sense. And now it makes sense. Things are getting insane. This is insane. I love it.
So before we actually talk about the two kind of big ones, I'll do a very quick recap. I mean, the two topics I talked about earlier is pretty much recapping the entire episode, but pretty much it starts back off with Nezuko having her full transformation, where we pretty much see that she's almost on par with an upper six demon in terms of her regeneration abilities, in terms of strength, going pretty close one-on-one against Daki, keeping up with her, and causing Daki to have real fear at some moments, until eventually they kind of corner her into a house when Tanjiro kind of gets up, and Azui shows up and pretty much takes off her head instantly, saying, "You're not the upper six, like you're so weak." And she's just sitting there kind of crying for a very long time, longer than should normally take for a demon to disappear, until we get the reveal of her screaming for her brother, and a second demon appears outside of Daki, and we see that the edgiest looking motherfucker of all time, with blood size, the scratchy voice, just being pissed off, obviously kind of being an actual brother figure to her. It looks like whether it's her actual brother or not, we'll have to see. But clearly this is the real power behind the six. And instantly we see that in the fight against Azui, where we start seeing how strong he is, how he pretty much Azui has to back off right away. And that the demon actually tried to take off Azui's head right away, and he was just barely able to manage and survive that. So I mean, that's all I have to do for the recap, because that's the entire episode, and those two things are going to be the setup for the entire rest of the arc.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nezuko first. I really
Okay.
want to talk about Nezuko
Okay.
because so we she's a real character now, essentially. Before, like, I was a little bit worried that she was going to be like a plot object almost, of where it's like, here's my sister who's has a weird thing going on, but she just like lives in my backpack this whole time. This actually feels like, oh, there's actually development here. Like, Nezuko's actually going to do things now, which is I love it. It's really cool. And I know we saw it a little bit in the movie, but I love how they emphasize her fire abilities because it ties back to Tanjiro and Tanjiro's family and like the coal and like
Hmm.
it's like, okay, cool. I really like this. I like how there's that like theming around like, because of their background, they have some sort of fire abilities, whether that's manifesting through being a demon slayer and actually breathing and learning that technique, or when you literally become a demon, you still get that manifested in a different way. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to sound dumb, but I've never kind of put together the fact of like the coal and all that kind of stuff, and they both have the fire powers. I can't believe I've never put that together till now. Or even read a Reddit post or something on that, but that is kind of a cool kind of connection there. But yeah, I think it's incredible. I do agree that it really kind of makes her a fully fleshed out character, because now instead of just being this kind of backup fighter in a box, it's now every time she gets involved in a fight, is she gonna lose it? Is she gonna go full demon? Is there gonna be an arc where Tanjiro has to fight against Nezuko and find a way to fully bring her back after she's kind of turned? Is there gonna be a way that she can control this? Like, it sets up so many more questions now. Up until now, carrying a demon in a box has been pretty easy and just kind of helpful. In fact, like, why doesn't everyone do this? But now it's kind of getting the fact of like, nope, she's a demon. She's powerful as fuck, and clearly there's more going on than what we don't see because of how powerful she is. Um, so I agree. It makes her the full character. We finally kind of get that will she won't she that I feel like has been missing from the first season and a half. And now will be a big part of everything going forward.
Yeah, and also like contextualizes a little bit of why she had control for so long is
Yep.
because like she is in like the low quote unquote lowest demon form here, and she's not really doing too much with it. But as her powers like ramp up and she goes Super Saiyan basically with her transformation, it makes sense. Then she loses control. Um, but it's still interesting because like I know I have so many questions. So like one, why is she so powerful? She's
Yep.
not eating people at all. She's transforming. Like, how is she this strong? And she should just be a normal demon. Like by any like for what happened to her, or I guess we don't know exactly what happened to her because that's probably going to be the reason why she's so strong. But like the way it was set up was like, oh, she's just a demon, like just a normal demon. But we're really emphasizing now that like no, there's got to be something going on here. Like there has to be a reason that she's so powerful and doesn't need to do all the like bad demon stuff to be this powerful.
Yeah, and I think last episode, when we were kind of talking about the moves on memories and the cells and stuff, kind of like that, I'm like, oh no, like she's fine, like she's clearly not that powerful. Like I don't think we're getting any flashbacks through hers, and now we have to kind of question that logic there. I'm like, yeah, why is she able to take on Daki in the second evolution now, where we kind of said like, no, this evolution is just to show that like, yeah, no, Tanjiro's out of his league now, but clearly Nezuko isn't, which means she could very well take on any of the Hashira kind of now with that logic and all that kind of stuff, and she's just been in her box. She hasn't done any training, taken in no humans or nothing. So I agree. I think maybe that's kind of what the next arc goes to. Obviously, it's not something we're gonna dive into mid arc here, but maybe that's where we go now. Like, okay, we need to figure out what the hell to do with you now. Um,
Yeah, because I mean that's okay. I think it's almost obvious that like Tanjiro is going to win in the end of this. Like obviously we know he's eventually going to win, but like this sets up the like the cooldown arc. Like you know how it's like this intense fight and then you have the cooldown. The cooldown being they go back and everyone's like, "Hey Tanjiro, good job defeating the big demon guy, but hey, your sister's gonna go crazy. You need to figure this out. She could kill all of us at any moment. Like it feels like it sets that up so well.
yeah, it kind of sets up the next step, and that's go kind of step, and maybe if she goes up against the brother, maybe that kind of shows a little bit more of her power off here. Right now, we've just seen the one blood demon arc, and she's still pretty much just kicked. So I think her fighting style is still very basic, which means I think there could be a next level of kind of where she's at too, which is maybe be where she completely loses it. Like and she defeats her brother and then turns on everyone else and then stuff kind of like that. So very excited to kind of see where Nezuko goes. I think at this point she'll be a valuable asset, but I don't think we'll learn anything more about her until after all this fighting's over.
Yeah, the one thing that like really stuck out to me when she was fighting, one obviously because she just absolutely destroyed Daki, like just absolutely destroyed her. Like it was nothing. But like during the fight, the thing that like obviously we see that she loses control, but the thing that really solidified it for me is she starts like laughing in the middle of the fight. And I was like, oh, this is not Nezuko. Like this
Yeah.
is whatever's happening to her is like not who she normally is. And that is so cool. Like I don't know, it's so cool because it's like kind of scary at the same time because it's like, oh, she's actually going like full demon now.
Yeah, I got it. It would be. I mean, it'd be so cool if she can start talking again eventually too. Like maybe that's kind of the next step of where it's at. Of when she's in this form, it's
Mm.
like the only time she can really communicate with Tanjiro, but she's kind of uncontrollable. So it's like kind of a step to kind of start learning more about what's going on without it being safe and just an easy kind of step. So yeah, laughing is really some of the first noises besides like grunting from her that we've really heard the entire show. So it would be really interesting. But now I think we move into the big topic. We move into the brother
Oh,
reveal, and I know I know you love this
insane.
guy, so I'll let you kick off with this.
He's okay. Everything about this is so good. So like the way that he's introduced, right? We have the Shira show up. Usui just like doesn't even pay attention to her. Like literally teleports in, and then she's trying to talk, and he literally gives her the
Nothing
you're
personal, kid.
already dead.
Oh
Nothing
yeah,
personal, kid. You're already dead, and the head falls off. And at that moment, I was like, oh, this is really emphasizing how strong the Shira are. Like they can take out upper six. Like that's crazy. And then we get the reveal that like, oh, well, he scoffed at her because he knew that she wasn't really the upper six or whatever. She was really weak. And then we get to reveal the brother. And this dude is insane. The voice is crazy good. I watched the dub for this one.
the sub's
Insanely
amazing
good.
too.
The sub is really good for the voice. They absolutely nailed it. He has blood size with poison on it. We were talking about this before we recorded. That's like literally something like a 13-year-old boy would write. But it's so sick. And he gets to control the blood and stuff. I it, I think this is really good because for me, this solidifies the power scaling at least. Because last episode I was telling you I was a little worried because it's like, oh well, Tanjiro can kind of take on an upper six, but now this is all recontextualized of like, no, she's not even in upper six. Like in the grand scheme of things, she's just like kind of like a normal demon or maybe like a bit of a stronger demon. He's the actual upper six that has the power here. And so it's like, oh, okay.
I don't know if we know that for sure yet. Maybe she's not the full upper six, but she's still probably a moon. It is kind of interesting. I think we'll learn more about that kind of next episode of kind of how that worked because we've only ever seen her with Muzan in the background because we know she gets kind of the cells because we see her get the flashback. She's met with Muzan a couple of times, so we know she's getting more cells than normal, and that she has all the women that's disappeared in the entertainment district is from her, not the brother. So I think the
Hmm.
brother's kind of getting some of it too. So I don't think we want to completely discredit her yet, but clearly Azui, who has fought a lot of uppers, I'm assuming, knows that she's not a full upper six. But
Hmm.
I don't think we can completely write her out because she's not dead. I mean, she could
Yeah.
have her head completely cut off and not die, which makes even a medium level demon fucking scary because now you need to figure out what happens. And does that mean the brother's the main host? Because we kind of saw that back in season one, where the one demon that was kidnapping the girls kind of transformed into three. He killed the one, everything happened. So does just he have to die? Do they both have to die? Like it just kind of opens up a lot of questions and makes them both so much more scary. Because even if you get that one moment to chop off their head, you don't know if it's gonna kill them. And that's the first time we've ever seen that.
Yeah. And I think what's also really cool about their dynamic is this is the episode that Tanjiro and Nezuko are having like a moment. Like towards the end, they have like that moment with the lullaby together. And what's really cool is in this same episode, we get a brother sister reveal. Like it's a cool parallel, and I love that. Like I one thing that Demon Slayer does so well is they do the theming. Oh, they do the theming of this stuff so well. Of like, oh, you have a brother sister moment. Here's another brother sister moment on the opposite side. You have a Hashira from this family that's learning fire breathing. You have the opposite side of the demon who is his sister who also has some sort of fire abilities. Like the way that they do those parallels and theming, I love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah, it's they're. I mean, it's a short shonen series, unfortunately, but they do a good job with every single moment, every single chapter. I mean, they do an amazing job not only with the animation, which is what I think skyrocketed in season one, but in season two, the theming, the timing of everything, the reveals. They really started to hit the full swing, and this episode kind of shows that of the good moments, the transformations, the reveals. I think just overall, this was one of my favorite episodes of Demon Slayer to date, even without it being super fight heavy. It just kind of shows where the show is going to go and kind of opens up a lot of doors.
And the animation is incredible too.
Yeah,
Like this isn't a movie, and we're getting
yeah,
insane animation. Like Ufotable is like they're so good. They're so good.
yeah. I think it's incredible all around, and I can't see where it goes because now the real fighting starts. Now it makes sense of why there is five fighters because now it's gonna be a 5-on-2. You split up into groups. You kind of do all that
Yeah.
stuff. Nezuko's kind of out of action for now. Tanjiro's hurt, so it gives Inosuke and Zenetsu a second to kind of shine and do some fighting. Azui can come in now. So now we can kind of get a full use of the full cast with the two different demons, which I really like. Because they're just making it more enjoyable. As much as I love seeing the Tanjiro and Nezuko fight, I do love seeing Inosuke be involved. Azui's a character we haven't got much time with. So I'm excited to see where that goes here. And again, this was episode 7. We have 5 more episodes left. And it's all in the entertainment district arc, and these are the two demons. So I mean, 5 episodes of amazing animation and fighting, and I am on board for that.
I'm ready. I'm so ready for it.
But is that about all we have this one? I know you have a Taisho Secret this week. Is there anything
Mhm.
else you want to kind of talk about? Otherwise, we can wrap it up with that.
I'm good.
Go for it.
All right. Well, here is a Taisho era secret. So the lullaby that we hear in it is actually like a real lullaby. Like it's a real song. It's called Koyama no Ko Usagi. And it's a real song. And it was mostly popular in the Kanto region, which is like kind of around Tokyo-ish. But it's also found in some other areas too. And so like the whole song is basically like, hey, rabbit, why are your ears so long? But because it is like a folk song from a long time ago, different areas have different lines that they put in there. And what I found was super interesting is I think the region that they're in is like I think they're kind of yeah they're right in Tokyo
Mm,
basically. And so it's like oh it makes sense that they would have that song, but in more southern Japan, in the Saga Prefecture, which is like kind of like in the island at the very bottom. One of the lines talks about the rabbit's red eyes. So instead of why your ears so long, it's why your eyes so red. And okay, this might be a stretch. This might be a stretch, but this is the same episode that we have the flashback, and Nezuko is asking her mom why are brother's eyes red.
Yeah.
Like okay, like come on, like there's no way that's not purposeful. Like there's no shot that's not purposeful. Like it has to be. Like that has to be it, right?
I mean, I don't think they do anything by accident here. I think it's too specific too in a random flashback and stuff like that, not to have some kind of tie-in. It might not be something that necessarily hits our audience, like the US audiences, if they didn't kind of do this kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
maybe in Japan it's a super common thing, and that could like maybe hit one of the animators or one of the writers that they're from that area and like, yo, this is a sick minor callback for like a
Yes.
good chunk of people, and that's probably what it is. And I kind of love those kind of little calls there. Something that
It-
I always thought it was a weird kind of panel and kind of moment during the episode, but if that's kind of what it relates to, that's actually kind of sick. It doesn't hit as much for you and me as it would for others, but it's still just a cool little moment.
yeah. And like so that is like a cool line, but also it made me go back and think, wait, why did she say that line? Like one, is it just like a callback to the lullaby and that's like the is that just the complete circle there? Or is there more of where it's like, oh yeah, his eyes are red for a reason. Like why
Yeah,
would they say that line? So if it's a full circle, then it's good. We'll leave it in the Taisho era secret. But let's not forget about that because it might come up.
we're getting lots of flashbacks, lots of little moments here and there
Oh
that I
yeah.
think are all going to come together at some point. But that is going to be it for today's episode of Demon Slayer Chronicles for episode 7. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. We'll continue on with the rest of the season and the upcoming fights for the next couple of weeks. But thank you all so much for listening. If you want more Class 1A slash Demon Slayer Chronicles, go over to youtube.com slash Class 1A or twitter.com slash Class 1A pod for all My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer related stuff where we do there. But thank you and see you all next time.